Marvel Universe versus the Avengers showcases one of the darkest Marvel realities. When a virus is unleashed that infects heroes and villains alike with a contagion that drives a person to madness and to enact their darkest desires, Marvel's greatest heroes and villains are reduced to cannibalistic psychopaths that prey on whoever's left. Marvel Universe vs. the Avengers is the third part of a trilogy of stories beginning with Marvel Universe vs. the Punisher and continued in Marvel Universe vs. Wolverine. This isn't your run-of-the-mill mindless zombie apocalypse story. What sets this story apart and makes these infected so terrifying is how calculating they are. While many have lost their minds, they all still retain higher functions and will actively hunt the uninfected as well as other infected. Horror comic fans, can you imagine a Hulk version of the Crossed? Well, that's this world's reality. Full spoiler warning beyond this point. Marvel Universe vs. the Avengers focuses on Hawkeye as he and the remaining surviving Avengers attempt to reverse the horrors unleashed by the contagion. We see the world fall apart around them as every day more and more succumb to the virus. One moment you're helping your allies and the next you're trying to bite their throats out. Every person is a carrier, and it's only a matter of time until you change. At this point, there's no more heroes and villains, there's only survivors, and they were losing more and more ground every day. That is until Doom arrived with hope for salvation. In Doom fashion, all he requires is the complete and utter subservience to him and him alone. The Avengers attempt to stop Doom, but this is a Doom unlike any they'd faced before, with power beyond their imagining. Desperate for a solution to the virus, the Avengers actually bent the knee to Doom. Even the likes of Thor humbled himself for a chance to stop this never-ending nightmare. Using a mix of technology and mysticism that only Doom could manage, Doom actually has a way to subdue the infected, leaving them in a catatonic state, while also being able to provide safety for the survivors. As much as Hawkeye and the others hated it, Doom was the only one to offer even this measure of salvation. But as Marvel fans know, you can never really trust Doom. When Hawkeye notices Deadpool carrying a body-sized covered object into an abandoned building, he follows. Hawkeye had actually begun to suspect Deadpool had turned a long time ago and was somehow able to blend in. But in one of the biggest page turn reveals I've actually ever seen in comics, it's revealed that an infected Deadpool was in fact retrieving the body for Doom to feast upon. Doom had in fact been infected the whole time and somehow, through his knowledge of science and the arcane, created a way to control his own unbridled urges, and then sharing this with the others created this false sense of salvation. Hawkeye pulls his ace in the hole and actually bests Doom in a one-on-one battle, killing him with an adamantium arrow. But there is no victory here. Without Doom's inhibitors, the majority of the remaining heroes and villains turn and massacre the remaining uninfected. The story ends with Hawkeye scrambling for safety when out of nowhere an infected Thor crushes Hawkeye's skull with Mjolnir. I'm a huge horror fan, and I first became aware of this story when I picked up the first volume, Marvel Universe vs. the Punisher, and I love that story. So when I learned about this story, I knew I had to read it. Unfortunately, this particular volume of the series is really tough to find, and of the three miniseries, Marvel Universe vs. Avengers was definitely the toughest to track down, but I finally obtained the trade, and I loved reading it. I feel it mixed the best of the zombie infected apocalypse genre while adding the interesting mix of the Marvel characters like Deadpool, especially Deadpool, who somehow due to his unique state of perpetual insanity was infected long before most knew about it, but he was just able to blend in, which was a really interesting aspect of the story. But most interesting was actually Hawkeye. I really felt that he was probably the most interesting character vehicle of each of these different stories. In Marvel Universe vs. Wolverine, of course, it follows Wolverine, and Marvel Universe vs. the Punisher, it follows the Punisher. But in this one, we get to explore the world through the eyes of Hawkeye. He's a highly skilled human being in a world of powerful monsters, but he's able to outlast some of Marvel's most powerful characters. His dialogue is also a real highlight of his story. You really see a man who's lost all hope, but still persists because that's all that's left to do in this world. This story is definitely not for the faint of heart, but it's definitely worth a read and one of my favorite Marvel horror stories. So be prepared to see one of Marvel's bleakest timelines in this story. If you want more videos like this, leave a like and subscribe for more. See you next time.